Hello there, Eddie Mercado here with BloodyElbow.com, and today I will be speaking with the UFC's number 6 strawweight, Michelle Waterson, as she is headed to UFC 218 on December 2nd in Detroit, Michigan, to take on the number 5 ranked Tecia Torres. So let's give the Karate Hottie a call and find out what she's been up to since her last fight against Thug Rose. Find out what she has in store for Tecia Torres in Detroit, and maybe what her future plans are for MMA. Mrs. Michelle Waterson, how are you, ma'am?
I'm wonderful, enjoying my time with family. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so, I know a lot of people are like, man, you're going to miss out on Thanksgiving, but for me, it's really just about spending time with the fam, So, yeah, I might miss out on some of the gravy and the good mashed potatoes, but I can still eat pretty healthy during Thanksgiving and be okay.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate the sacrifice. A lot of people overlook the fact that fighters have to miss out on a whole bunch of holidays and birthdays and just family events because they're cutting weight. So, it does kind of hinder life, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, so you are 14-5 right now in your mixed martial arts journey, 2-1 in the UFC. Your debut was a rather exciting fight against Angela Magana. You ended up armbarring her in the 3rd round. You went on to have a even more entertaining performance. You fought Paige Van Zant, and you choked her unconscious with the rear naked choke in the 1st round. I gotta ask, for those who do not know, what does it feel like to choke somebody unconscious?
I've done it a couple different ways, and it goes in 2 phases. And so for me, I feel like Paige was still in the 1st phase, because when you're choking somebody, there is an initial point where you feel that they are beginning to lose conscious, and then you feel their whole body go limp. And so I knew that she was going out, but I felt the initial part of it, but I didn't feel the second part of it. As soon as I let go, I think some of the blood rushed back to her head, and she was able to kind of get her wits about her. But yeah, she was definitely one tough cookie.
Yeah, it was definitely an impressive performance. Are you familiar with the match between Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee, where the referee stepped in and there was no tap, but it kind of looked like he might have been in the 1st phase you're talking about there? What was your thoughts on that stoppage?
I didn't get to see the fight, but did they continue to fight?
No, they stopped it. It appeared as if Chiesa quit defending and kind of put his arms down, and then the referee stopped it at that moment. So it was like, was he out? Was he not out?
What did the fighter say?
Of course, Chiesa was like, "Oh, I wasn't out. This is BS." Kevin Lee is like, "Hey, the ref stopped the fight. He stopped the fight." Yamasaki, who's like a multi-degree black belt, said Chiesa went out, and I stopped the fight at the right time. So
I do think sometimes our pride gets the better of us sometimes, especially when we're, in the heat of a fight. But I do think that it's important to recognize when you lose, and to recognize that you got caught, and to swallow your pride and say so. Because if the ref wouldn't have stepped in, he could have gone unconscious. That is very dangerous. You just that's what the refs are there for. They see stuff that we're not able to see, and so.
Absolutely. So in your last outing, you took on Rose Namajunas. Exciting bout. It didn't go your way. It happens. She ended up going on to face Joanna Champion and ended up winning the title. So off the strength of competing against you, she won a world title shot. What was your thoughts on your overall performance out there?
I thought I had a really good game plan against Rose. The fight game is real fickle, just like technology. anything can happen on any given day, and it's important to realize that. It's important to understand that even though you take a loss, it's not a step backwards, it's a step forward, because I am continuing to learn, I am continuing to grow as a fighter, as a martial artist, and yeah, it just, like I said, it's trying to fit all the pieces of the puzzle together. Everything has to fall into place on that one night. You only have 15 to 25 minutes to get it done. And what I realized in that fight is, the caliber of girls that I am having to face now in the top 5. And it's more so not much of who is the better fighter, but more so who makes the first mistake. And so you have to really be able to hone in your skills and stay focused. And I think that's what's important fighting these top level girls.
Okay. And what would you say surprised you the most about Rose, if anything?
I've trained with Rose before, so there was nothing surprising. She comes to fight. She's a very genuine person. She's a martial artist, through and through. So there was nothing surprising. Like I said, there were just some things on my part that had fallen through, and we went back to the drawing boards and fixed those things up, and we're gonna go out there December 2nd and get that W.
Awesome. Now, leading up to the fight, you were really doing a whole lot of media obligations and really selling the fight. Do you think maybe that was somewhat of a distraction and kind of took your focus away from the fight a little bit?
I don't want to say that it was a distraction, because there were things that I took on knowingly, and it didn't hinder my training. I was still training really hard. I was still really focused on what I had to get done. But what I will say is that it's important to find a balance. And, at the end of the day, we fight for the UFC, and it is a sport of entertainment. And so you have to understand that you have to be able to do both. But again, like I said, a good balance is important, and knowing how much you can and can't do is also important. And you don't know that until you've been through it. So you don't know what you can and can't take on. Some people can take on more media obligations, and some people can't. And I'm finding that out right now, and just trying to find a good balance on what's best for me.
Well, I definitely appreciate you taking out the time to speak with me. So if you don't do any other media for this, I must thank you for this interview, of course. Now, so Rose, like we said, she went on to fight Joanna, champion, ends up knocking her down with a mean left hook, ended up pounding her out, wins the strawweight title. I mean, did you expect that? Did you call her dethroning Joanna?
I to be honest, I didn't. Only because I didn't. Let me rephrase that. If she was going to win, I didn't see her winning by KO. I didn't see her winning by striking. I saw her winning by, wearing her down in the championship round and sneaking in a submission, because she's really good with that. And but what I did see was her ability to focus under the immense pressure. And I think that something that helped her enable her to do that was her past experiences fighting for the belt. She in the past she's fought for the belt, and she was very excited, very anxious to get in there and get it done in a very impressive fashion. And sometimes when you do that, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and instead of letting it happen organically, you force it. And when you try to force things, they just don't fall into place how they should. So Rose has done a really good job at adjusting the things that she needed to work on. She's really focused. You could tell she was nervous, but she used that nervousness and channeled it into, focus. And even though she was nervous, she was still focused on what she wanted to do, which is win. And so I'm very happy for her. I know that Joanna, like I said, everything has to fall into place on that one day. It doesn't take anything away from Joanna. Something that Rose did that I don't think anybody else that Joanna has done is make her miss. And so I think that could have really frustrated her and just a tiny bit, just shifted the momentum enough for Rose to land that awesome hook that she did.
Yeah, it was definitely stellar, and a lot of people didn't see it coming. She was a heavy underdog going in, so she probably won a lot of people a lot of money. Now, what do you think is next for Rose and Coach Trevor Whitman? Who do you think they'll give her next?
We'll see. We will see. I don't know how the UFC operates. They kind of do what they want to do. And so I don't know if Joanna is wanting an immediate rematch. I don't know if they're going to try to pit some of the other girls that have been already, gone up for that contender spot. I think that a lot will play out as the year unfolds.
I gotta ask, are you hunting for the rematch?
I would love a rematch. I would 100% love a rematch, and I would have loved a rematch whether or not Rose won, for my own sake. But it's even better now that she's the champ. So, yes, I would love a rematch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next on your plate, you're heading to Detroit, Michigan, UFC 218, to take on the number 5 ranked strawweight, Tecia Torres. Now, after her last fight with Juliana Lima, she gets on the microphone and she calls you out. She says she wants karate versus karate. Were you cool with the call out?
When somebody decides to call you out, I guess that means you made it, right? So I'm not mad about it. But at that time, there were a lot of people calling me out. So it was just my name was pretty popular. It still is. So that's a good thing. I'm not complaining.
Okay, now, what do you think about the stylistic matchup here? Do you think it's actually going to be karate versus karate, or do you think it's going to end up being a grappling exchange?
I don't know. That's why it's MMA. It's amazing that we both have traditional martial arts background. Her strengths are my strengths, but I believe that her weaknesses are my strengths. So I think that's going to play well for me.
Okay, and are you still training at Jackson Wink?
I am.
And how is that going?
Amazing. It's my, it's my home away from home. It's where I go to be me. That it's family there. It doesn't get any better than that,
And you said you just bought a new house. Is that near Albuquerque, or are you outside of fight camp?
No, we're in Albuquerque. We're just like 10 minutes from where we used to live. We're just outgrowing our house, and it was time. It was time to get a little bit more space. The house that we're in now, there's a little RV shed in the back that we're going to convert into a gym.
Oh, wow.
And kind of cement. Right now as a fighter, as a professional fighter, I feel like I'm in my prime, and it's the best time to do what we're doing, getting some space so that we can put together the gym, have training partners over if they need to, especially with my daughter getting older, and just having the accessibility to train at home if I need to. Okay.
Now, for Tecia Torres, is there anything in particular that you're training for exactly, or something about her that is like one thing that you just want to look out for?
There's a lot of things you have to look out for. It is MMA. I think that she has been making a huge effort to diversify her arsenal of weapons since she's moved to Colorado. So the advantage that I have of training at altitude is neutralized because she trains in Colorado. But I do think it's important to still keep my cardio up. She likes to take the fights to decision. And so I need to be prepared for that. I need to be prepared to go hard 3 rounds, or I need to be prepared to finish it in the first. You have to be ready for everything.
So it sounds like you're getting prepared for everything, but do you have a specific prediction on how you see the night playing out?
I'd like for it to be stand up.
You think you're going to catch her on the feet?
I'd like to.
Okay, I dig it. Now, what would be next for the Karate Hottie? What are you going to get on the mic and call someone out, or you got anyone in particular that you would like to see in the cage?
I am the worst at calling people out. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in my personal life right now, and I might just get on the mic and tell people to give hugs like Rose did. To be honest with you, fighting Tecia Torres, I think will and being victorious will cement my overall objective, which is to get back to the title contention. And so as long as I'm moving forward that way, whoever they put in front of me is who I'm going to have to fight.
Yeah, and like you said about Rose, how she got on the mic after she won, and she was just like, go be a good person. And I was like, oh my God, like instant fan. Like I was already a fan, and like now even more so. Like at the end of every single one of my interviews, that's the last thing I say is go be a good person. So when she said that, I was like, oh, like there are people out there, like I didn't feel so alone. So yeah, I mean, the world could definitely use a little bit of positivity aside from the normal trash talking that we're seeing, kind of a lot of guys taking the Conor McGregor approach, but it's not exactly working for him. You know what I mean?
And Conor's he's not a bad person either. I think the majority of fighters are very good, loving people, and I think that just needs to be portrayed more. It is starting to become more mainstream, and I'm not mad about the trash talkers. I like them. I like the diversity of the good guy versus bad guy. We all have our own personalities, and it's important to just try to be genuine to yourself and who you are. So if I was a good trash talker, I would throw some lines out there, but I suck at trash talking, so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly a bad thing. I think that might be for the better. But do you have any sponsors or people you want to give a special shout out to that are helping you along on your journey?
I just my family has always been here for me. My husband, his parents, I think about them every day. My parents, they've done so much for me in my life, in my training, to allow me to get where I'm at right now, and I'm just very grateful to have the people in my life. It's life is too short to take any of those people for granted. And of course, my sponsors wouldn't be able to do it without them, especially in the years prior to being signed to the UFC. On it, they've been in my corner since before I was an Invicta atomweight champ, and they're still in my corner. So I have so much love for them. And then I just got picked up by Body Armor, and they're taking really good care of me, sending me out tons of water, keeping me hydrated, sending me out tons of great, yummy juices. And so they're going to help me keep my new gym stocked up over here, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
Awesome. Now, for the 1 or 2 people that are not already following you on social media, how can they come along? How can they be a part, comment, like things? Where can they find you?
I am most active on Instagram, and all my handles across the board is Karate Hottie MMA. Pretty easy to remember. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, Michelle Waterson, thank you so much for taking out the time. Tecia Torres, in your crosshairs. December 2nd, UFC 218, Detroit, Michigan. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. So there you have it. The UFC's number 6 strawweight, Michelle Waterson, set to tangle with the number 5 ranked Tecia Torres at UFC 218. That's going down December 2nd in Detroit, Michigan. Go check that out. In the meantime, you can read me over at bloodyelbow.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @Mercado. If you like this interview, smash the like button. Subscribe to my channel right there. Also, subscribe to Bloody Elbow's YouTube channel right here. Check out these interviews right there. Now go be a good person.